Good evening, Philippines. Good morning, good afternoon, world. Welcome to another interesting episode here at the English Blog. We're a blog of English teachers by English teachers and for English teachers. My name is Adrian.
I'm Christine.
And I'm Sarah.
Today we are watching Season 3, Episode 4, How to Use Videos to Teach English. So stay tuned, you guys.
As a team, we provide customized lesson plans, curriculum mapping and unit planning, life and career coaching sessions, weekly vlog and blog content related to ESL education. If you have any questions or concerns about our services, go ahead and message us at our website, www.theenglishblog.com, or at our social media handles, which will be introduced by Sarah.
We are all over social media here at the English Blog. You're probably watching this video on Facebook, which is our most active platform, and you can find us just by searching the English Blog, or the URL is English Blog for Teachers. Once our videos premiere here, they get uploaded onto YouTube. So you can also search for us on our YouTube channel. It's also linked on our Facebook page. We're also active on Instagram, _English_blog, as well as Twitter, where our handle is the English Blog 1. And now we are listed as a company on LinkedIn. So you can just search us and you can find our LinkedIn page where we post blog articles. And of course, you can follow the main site, theenglishblog.com, where we post all of our blog posts. We've got links to these videos, everything you could ever imagine. Whatever platform you like, reach out to us. Let us know what you think, what you want to hear, if you use videos in your classroom and how you do it. Let us know and help us out.
And as you guys watch tonight's episode, don't forget to share it, and so that other people would also learn from the wealth of wisdom that we'll be sharing with you tonight. And here comes the first question. Why are videos useful in the English learning classroom? The number one thing I can think of here is that it opens up a whole new world of learning. It makes your lessons interesting and more engaging, and your students get exposed to other culture, and it sends out a strong visual cue to the topics that you will be discussing. And I'm sure there are also some words and expressions that they won't learn without using videos. So what kinds of videos would work best and why? So the videos that would work best are the ones that are appropriate to your students' age and their learning capacity, their level, whether they're a beginner, intermediate. That's what I'm referring to when I mention level. Of course, you don't want to show them a video that's too easy because they will be bored. And of course, you don't want to show them a video that's really hard to comprehend because they would really struggle and might actually not pay attention to it because it's too hard for them to understand. There are reliable video sources that we'll be sharing with you guys in the later part of this discussion.
So yeah, as Adrian said, when you're choosing kinds of videos, they need to be appropriate in content and level for who you're teaching. But I think a lot of people, one great way to use videos, which we'll see a demo of later, is as a listening, which that becomes extremely important. It needs to be on level. But don't forget that you can use other types of videos as well to do other things. Not every video you show has to be a listening. So I find advertisements work really, really well. And I've also done some nice lessons with some short films, short horror films specifically. And again, or silent films. These are actually pretty silent or little to no English horror films. So it isn't a listening, but it can really expand what you're talking about. It can provide some novelty in the classroom. So don't get stuck on when you do a video, it has to be a listening activity. We're going to talk more about it later, but There are lots of different types of videos. And so just make sure that the activity that you want to do and the skills that you want to practice with your students, that the video helps them do that, whether it's listening or whether it's speaking about a genre. Make sure that your video aligns with your lesson. Don't use video for the sake of video. Yeah.
What information should you give your students prior to viewing?
You want to give your students enough information to pique your students' interest in the video, but not so much that you're giving the whole video away. And there are, thankfully, ways to stimulate your students' interest in the video without giving everything away. And some things that I like to do in the classroom, if you have students that are more visually oriented, you can show your students still images from the video and then ask your students questions about the images, and it could be a fun video prediction activity. Another thing that's kind of similar to number one, but not really visually oriented, is writing the first part of a sentence on the board and then having your students complete that sentence in a video prediction activity. So you can pique their interest in the video, give them something mysterious or something that they need to solve and make them turn it into a story, and that can be a lot of fun. And then the third thing that I like to do is give them some questions. Like I think Sarah has some pre-watching questions, and that's a really good way to pique their interest and also give them some hints as to what's going to come up in the video. The fourth thing is having my students listen to the video. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. You can show or you can play the video without actually showing it. And whether the video involves a lyrical song or a dialogue, it's a really good way for your students to hone their listening comprehension skills while also stimulating their interest in the video.
So you guys are really lucky tonight because we have a really special episode. This is the first time we're going to be doing this, and Sarah will be doing a video lesson demonstration.
So yeah, this is a lesson that I have taught in real life to real life French teenagers. And it's an example of a video lessoning for listening. So that is the task. We're going to do a listening task with a video. And I'm going to go through it with Christine and Adrian and all of you guys as my students to show you how this process works. And then we're going to talk about why I, as the teacher, made the decisions that I made concerning this video and this lesson. Okay, so are you guys ready? Okay, so can we go back to the slide, please? Perfect. So pre-listening task, as Christine mentioned. So I've given us two choices. One, if you have a thumbnail of the video, Christine, if you want, you can put it in there. You can ask them, what do you think this video will be about? An alternative is to give them a title, The People Along Route 66. When I taught this lesson originally, I had already introduced the concept of Route 66. So I had already used my second question, what do you know about Route 66, earlier in the lesson, but that's important context. So for this purpose, for this lesson, if you're going into this listening cold, I would ask both those questions. You've got a video of the people along Route 66. What do you know about Route 66? What do you think the video is going to be about? What do you guys think?
A road trip of some sort, maybe. What
Yeah,
do you
I think it's going to tell some stories about about the lives of the people living within that community.
Do you know where Route 66 is?
Clueless.
You guys are right. It's a long road that goes almost all the way across the United States, all the way across the West. Okay. And we'll learn more about it in this video. Okay, so those are the pre-listening questions to kind of set the stage and give your students a little bit of context about what they're going to watch, which will help them fill in listening gaps. Now that you know that it's about a road in the US, that might help you if you know nothing about Route 66. And the prediction exercise gets a student interested in the video, and it kind of is a built-in listening task. It's understood, see if your prediction is right. And that engages students better than just saying, listen to this and tell me about it. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, So, class, today we are going to watch the video, People Along Route 66. It's a series of interviews. After each interview, I will pause the video and we will talk about that person, okay? So, for the first interview, there's only one question that you need to answer, which is, why is Melba called the mouth? Okay, that's your question. Don't worry about anything else. Your goal, answer that question. Okay, you guys ready?
The Route 66 is a big old family, and you got your troublemakers and you got your crazies. I mean, you know, and you got your sweethearts. And they call me the mouth because I do have a tendency of talking a little bit faster. I'm sitting down and usually plug panel sleep. Actually, do track this passport, talk a little bit faster. I only had one cup of coffee this morning. Everybody in my family 6'1", 6'2", and I'm only 5'1", so I had to talk fast to get away.
You guys have seen Melba. And clearly she was very engaging. That's part of what I love about this video is you watch it and she's completely unexpected. And anybody in your class that was bored and not paying attention will immediately snap their head around and give Melba the full attention that she deserves. Can you go back to that listening task, the question about Melba, please? Why is Melba called the mouth?
You want to go, Adrian?
Because she talks really fast.
Perfect, exactly, because she talks really, really fast. Mm-hmm. And I like to give this type of question, and specifically this video of Melba, because I think a lot of times learners get super concerned when they don't hear every single word and they don't understand every single word. And Melba, you and I cannot understand any single word that she says. And I like to give this task because it helps students realize you can 100% succeed and answer this question completely correctly without understanding what Melba is saying. That's also part of listening. You can understand the important part of a video and the meaning that the video is trying to convey without understanding every single word. So yeah, that's a total success. Melba is called the mouth because she talks really fast. What she says is not important. It's what the video is trying to tell you about her. Okay, you ready, class? Moving on. Next, we're gonna have one more interview, okay? Your questions for this interview are, who is Fran Hauser? What did she used to do? Why couldn't she stay retired? And what is her relationship to the movie Cars? Okay, you've got 4 questions. Who's Fran? What's she do? Why couldn't she stay retired? And what is her relationship to the movie Cars? Okay, so now we watch.
I used to own the cafe next door, the Midpoint Cafe and Gift Shop, for about 23 years. And I sold it a few years ago to a gentleman, and I was supposed to retire according to my family. But Brody, my friend, my dog, and I decided, no. It was too lonesome to see people from all over the world. And they do come to the Midpoint, and that's in Adrian, Texas, and it is a wonderful place to be. Even if I'm retired, I'm still seeing people, and it makes me so excited. And I am the inspiration for Flo in the movie Cars. The cafe became Flo's V8 Cafe, and my 2 waitresses, who were absolutely my family all the time I had the cafe, they became Mia and Tia, the little Miata twins.
Okay, so now you guys have met Fran. So let's answer the questions together. So who is Fran Hauser?
You go first, Christine.
Okay. The first piece of information I got, she owned a cafe for 23 years. That's what I got.
Yeah.
It was a cafe.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's what she used to do. Mm-hmm.
The first one, I don't know. There might have been some other information I missed. Did you get that, Adrian?
She's already planning to retire, but her family and her dog says they have decided to continue.
Exactly. Very good. Yeah, she couldn't stay retired because of her family and friends. The answer to who is Fran Hauser is kind of simple. In the listening questions, especially with the video, I like to ask questions that are dependent on listening to the information and on watching the video and understanding it as an interaction. So the answer to who is Fran Hauser is going to be, she's a woman who owned a cafe on Route 66. And she did say she lives in Adrian, Texas. So you could say that. And she lives at actually the midpoint in the exact middle of Route 66. Mm-hmm. And what's her relationship to the movie Cars?
She was the inspiration for one of the characters.
Exactly. Which character?
Adrian.
Flo.
Yes, very good. Okay. So I like to give, this type of question is more of the classic listening question. This is what a lot of students expect when they hear we're going to do a video listening. I do want to point out that this listening was pretty long. Fran talked for about a minute and there was a lot of information in there. This class I did with my French teenagers who were there last year and had years of English. So it was challenging just because it was a lot of information, but they were able to do it. And it's a good one for you guys because, I need to challenge you because you guys actually speak English. But I do want to point out that you'll notice that I asked completely different types of questions between Melba and Fran. If you're going to give a long listening with a lot of information or a short listening, information, exact information, the speaker needs to be calm, slow, easy. Fran is easy to understand. She talks slow, she really enunciates well, she talks clearly. I would never ask all of those questions, all 4 of those questions about a video where somebody's talking a mile a minute, or even like me talking now. It's a little too fast. There's too much information. And likewise, if there is real value in helping people listen to people who talk quickly or talk in a different accent. And in that case, you want to make sure that you do a shorter listening and that you ask fewer questions because you need to account for the difficulty that your students will have in the actual listening process. So yeah, make sure that you're going to have to adjust the types of questions you ask, the number of questions you ask, depending on what type of listening you're doing, whether it's audio or video. But I like this example because it puts both together. Mm-hmm. And the video actually, this is your demo for today. But if you liked that video and you want to use it in class, we will put the link in the comments. And it continues. There's more interviews afterwards. So it's kind of repetitive and it gives them a chance to listen again and again and again, which is also helpful. Thank you guys. You were an excellent class today.
Thank you. That was a really awesome demonstration, Sarah. How about a round of applause for teacher Sarah?
Thank you.
All right. What are some best practices before, during, and after viewing?
So I talked a little bit about this while we were doing the example, which I think is helpful to help all you teachers out there keep it straight. So you always want to introduce your video, but like Christine said, you don't want to give away all the drama. I'm not going to say Melba's this crazy lady who talks really fast because I want it to surprise you. But your students should not go into a listening completely cold. They would never go into one in real life completely cold either. If you're listening to somebody talk to you at the bank, you're at the bank. You're at the bank. So they should have some kind of introduction, some kind of context, like the question I asked, what do you know about Route 66? Or a thing to get them thinking, prediction. What do you think this will be about? What kind of things do you think they'll talk about? Who are these people going to be? You always need to have a pre-listening or pre-viewing task. During the video, and this is something that I see a lot of teachers forget, especially new teachers or young teachers, and especially native speaker teachers, which is you must set actual tasks before listening. You never give somebody a listening or a video and say, watch this. You need to have something for them to do. It needs to be within their level. And that's where the beauty of listenings and the variety of how to use video can come into play. This one was listen to the information, and it was a listening activity. You can also say, give me a list of what this person does. Give me a list of all the ing verbs, whatever. We're running, we're sweeping, we're cleaning. On a different type of video, you could do that. You can do, this is where you get to do what you want to do. It's in the listening task that they do during listening. After the video, or after the section of the video, because you might choose to break up your video like I did, you always need to give them the answers, 100%. You can't gloss over it. You can take group feedback like we did today. You can have them compare answers in pairs. That's always a good idea. In a class, do a pair compare. What did you get? You can always play the video again, which I am not going to do because you guys speak English. But I might have played, I did play Fran Hauser's interview twice. We went over it and we got, what did you hear? But I didn't give them all the answers yet, because just the class hearing other people's information helps them pick up more. Then we play it again. Then we go through all of the finite answers. But just like on the demo, you guys weren't exactly sure how to answer who is Fran Hauser. So I gave you that answer. You must answer every single question. And then after the video, this is something that wasn't in my demo because it's something that you really should do in your classroom. You should always extend out. So it needs to lead to another task. So for example, I have some examples for how you could extend this one. You should think about the end of your video like the beginning of your video. When you have a beginning, you make it really, really wide and you try to connect it to the student. Then you get into the thick of the video and it's hyper focused. It's super narrow. We're on Melba, we're on Fran, we're in the middle of Route 66 right now. Then at the end of your video, you want to widen back out. So after the video, you can connect it back to their life. Would you like to go on Route 66 now that you know more about it? Have you seen the movie Cars? All those types of questions that take this video as a launching point to do other things, to talk about other things. And it's a great way to continue your lesson if you've got a theme, or to get them talking about their life. You can get them to do a plan your own trip. What would you do? That kind of thing. So wide at the beginning, super narrow during the video, and then wide again at the end. Thank you.
What are some tips for using videos with an online class?
My personal suggestion is to ensure that your video does not take up a super large chunk of class. Of course, videos are meant to facilitate learning and spice up your lessons, but at the same time, you don't want to take up too much class time with your videos. Well, you still want a good amount of student engagement. And if you do happen to have a longer video, you want to break up that video into different chunks by pausing throughout the video, maybe during the second or third listening, because you still want them to have a time where they listen or they watch the video in full. Let's say, for example, the grammar topic of the lesson is the present continuous tense. You can stop or pause at a certain part of the video and ask your students, what are they doing here? And then when the students answer the question in the present continuous tense, you can play the video some more and then pause again and ask, how about here? What are they doing? So it's a good way for the students to practice the grammar topic at hand while also learning new vocabulary or reviewing old vocabulary. Just whatever you do, remember that your video is there to help your lessons and not be the focus of the lessons. And that there are so many different ways that you can engage with the same video in the same lesson. You can show a video, especially a shorter one, multiple times, multiple ways. And those different ways can hone different skills in your students. Just think outside the box and don't think that using a video in English class simply involves hitting the start button, because we all know that there's so much more to it than that.
Where can our teachers find good videos, Sarah?
So you can find all kinds of videos for your lessons on the internet. My top sites that I like to use are TED-Ed, YouTube, TrueTube, VOA, which is Voice of America, which is actually where the video lesson came from. and StoryCorps. So TED Ed you're probably familiar with. I like TED Ed because it usually comes with lessons. So you kind of have your listening questions built in. You just go there and you look at the comprehension questions and you assign those as your listening tasks. And usually the lesson plan also has like a warmer and an extension, gives you ideas of how to use the video. TED Ed can be a little bit advanced. So I use it more with upper intermediate or advanced learners. It's also really, really good for teaching content in English. I use it a lot in like the bilingual science classes where they're actually learning geology. They just happen to be learning it in English. These are really good for that kind of thing. YouTube, as I'm sure you all know, has anything and everything under the sun. That's the plus. The drawback is you kind of need to know what you're looking for a little bit. You need to have an idea of what you're doing, but that's a great place to find not just informational videos, but advertising, songs, all kinds of other types of videos. TrueTube is not exactly like YouTube. It is funded by the British government, and it's specifically geared towards recent immigrants to Britain. So it's a really, really good resource if you just happen to be teaching people who are immigrating to Britain. But even if you're not teaching people in Britain now, it has a lot of, it's a little bit more edited than YouTube. And it kind of has some really socially relevant topics. You can find stuff on life, culture, cultural differences, as well as those like activities that everybody needs to do when you get to a new country, which can be very useful in any English classroom. You know, how do you talk at a bank, like that kind of stuff. So that is an excellent resource. Otherwise, there's Voice of America, which I have mentioned on the blog before and is where our Route 66 lesson came from. They have tons and tons of videos of super different levels, and you can sort them by level, which is very nice. And then the last one was StoryCorps. StoryCorps is American, and it is part of NPR, National Public Radio. And so they have some interviews that they have collected, and they've turned them into animations, which is really nice because it helps you understand the story better. It's engaging. So it's not just the audio, but an audio plus an animation. I really like those. And if you guys have any more that you use, please let us know. Tell us in the comments. I am always on the hunt for more sources.
Should we use closed captions when showing a video?
This is a kind of a hard one for me, but for me, I have shown videos without captions and then afterwards shown videos with captions. Like the way that I use closed captions in when showing videos in class is similar to the way I do dictation exercises. Like when you're dictating a sentence or words for students to write down, they're often very confused as to what they're hearing, right? And you can see the looks on their faces. And the same thing goes for when they're watching a video. They have no idea what's going on. They can't understand a thing. But then when they see the captions later on, or they see the words, like the actual words that I had dictated, then it all makes sense and they're able to put the two and two together. So for me, that I think is pretty effective. It's worked for my students, and I think that's been a good way for them to improve their listening skills.
You should not always show videos with captions because it depends on the purpose and the objective of the lesson. But I always recommend my students to, for as long as they want, to watch videos on their own leisure time with captions on, because that's a part of their self-study. I encourage them to do that. Okay, so as you guys watch this video, make sure to share with us in the comment section what you guys think. What are your thoughts and questions and concerns or suggestions regarding the topic of using videos in the lesson? And don't forget, our team provide customized lesson plans, curriculum planning and unit planning, life and career coaching sessions, and weekly blog and blog content related to ESL education.
You can find us all across social media. We premiere our videos on Facebook. which you can find us by searching the English blog, or if you're using the URL, it's English blog for teachers. The videos also go up on our YouTube channel, which you can find us, but it's the English log with a V. We're also on Instagram, the_English_blog, as well as Twitter, the English blog 1. And you can find us on LinkedIn. Across all platforms, we encourage you to like, follow, share, subscribe, and interact with us. Tell us what you think. Do you like closed captions in your videos or not? Have you done different video listenings that were really successful or really unsuccessful in your classes? Tell us about them, and also tell us whatever you want to hear from us next. We're here to help you guys, so whatever you want, we are here for you.
And as always, keep learning, stay healthy, and happy, everyone. Until next time, my name is Adrian.
I'm Christine.
And I'm Sarah.
And we're the English Blog team. Goodbye.
Bye.